Throughout the years, many enthusiasts have come up with their own 5-year plans for each theme park, but here we'll venture off into the next decade. So for today, let's take a look at what's on the horizon for Busch Gardens Tampa. Do keep in mind that everything I'm about to say here is not confirmed by SeaWorld Entertainment, it's just my personal take on what I believe will open and close in the next 10 years at Busch Gardens. Obviously, most of this will likely not happen, but it's always fun to try and predict the future in the theme park industry. Now, with that said, let's get into it. We're going to start off with 2020, which was actually the year Iron Gwazi was supposed to open to the public. Based on the status of the amusement industry and SeaWorld Entertainment, unfortunately I don't see Iron Gwazi opening this year, especially during a global pandemic. But who knows, SeaWorld could always come through with the funds to open the attraction. Still, even if they do, I don't think this will have a significant impact on the rest of the 10-year plan. However, that leads us right into 2021, which is the year I think Iron Gwazi will open. I actually think it could open pretty early in the year, say sometime in February or early March to allow for easy marketing in the entire 2021 season. In addition to Iron Gwazi, there have been some rumors of an S&S Scream and Swing flat ride opening behind Cheetah Hunt in that same year. But just like Iron Gwazi, I see this project getting pushed back due to the impacts of COVID-19. 2022 is when I think we will see the new Scream and Swing, along with an entirely new land or current land expansion open up on the old site of Rhino Rally to accompany the new ride. This is known internally as Project Jethro. We should also definitely expect some new animal exhibits, restaurants, shops, and maybe even a show or two. After all, this could be an entirely new land added to the park. Also, keep in mind for later, this is only phase 1 of the new land. 2023, I think, is when SeaWorld and the amusement industry will fully be able to recover from the pandemic and their financial issues. I don't see Busch getting a new coaster this year, but rather a Sesame Street land overhaul. SeaWorld Orlando did that back in 2019 and it has turned out fantastic for them. A really great investment on their part. And Busch Gardens has been wanting to do this for a while, so after the construction of Iron Gwazi and the Scream and Swing, they can shift their focus towards the kids and families. I also unfortunately see Scorpion closing to the public later that year. The attraction would have been operating for 43 years at this point, and not to mention it's also a very low capacity attraction and costs a fortune to maintain. Moving on though to 2024, this is the year Busch Gardens Tampa will shine. I believe that 2024 will bring phase 2 of Project Jethro, along with a 300-foot tall B&M Giga Coaster, and numerous new shows to celebrate their 65th anniversary. Taking a look back into the past real quick, it's pretty obvious that Busch Gardens Tampa likes to celebrate their anniversary. 2014 was the park's 55th, and that brought Falcon's Fury. 2019 was the park's 60th, and that brought Tigress. Also, the reason I say only 300 feet tall is because 1, it's very hard for Busch to get past Tampa's height restrictions, and 2, steel costs are rising by the day. Hence why Orion at Kings Island was significantly downgraded from its supposed original plan of over 300 feet tall. Now, where would this Giga exactly go? That's a question none of us have the answer to. If I had to take a guess based on the plans from Project Jethro, maybe somewhere next to the Scream and Swing. A potential layout I see for this coaster would be a simple out and back, nothing too special. Possible elements could include numerous airtime hills, a wave turn, some type of turnaround element, and maybe even an outer banked airtime hill. B&M loves to venture off into the unknown. For a theme, I could see anything relating to rhinos to pay homage to the old Rhino Rally in the same location that closed over 10 years ago at that point. Also, later this year, I can see Jongala and Congo River Rapids close for a major overhaul. With a huge new Sesame Street expansion with more kids rides in the park, there is no need for another kids area, and Jongala is pretty outdated at this point. Now for Congo in general, I see Busch renovating this entire area from Kumba all the way to behind Tigress, absorbing all of Jongala's land. Based on previous trends over the park's decisions, we have seen Busch refurbish a part of each major land in the park, and Congo is the only one left, but I'll get into more of that later. 2025 will pretty much just be an off year for the park, as all the construction teams will be focusing on the new Congo expansion. The main thing for this year would most likely be closing Kumba for a major retrack. I know many enthusiasts claim that Kumba might be closing forever in a few years, but personally I don't see that happening. With all the love Busch has been putting into Kumba lately, with a repaint, new sign, and queue update, there is no real reason Busch would want to get rid of Kumba. The only other thing I can see being added to the park that year is a new show or animal exhibit, possibly taking the spot of Scorpion's old land. After 2025, most of the construction in Congo will be finishing up, along with Kumba opening back up to the public with its new retrack. The big thing for this year though, would be a brand new next generation Intamin River Rapids to replace Congo River Rapids. Now I know, this is mostly wishful thinking, but the reason I bring this up is because lately in the amusement industry, parks across America have been closing their River Rapids ride for a year or two to allow time to transform it into a new modern River Rapids with better effects. Take a look at Knott's Berry Farm's Calico River Rapids, or Silver Dollar City's new for 2020 Mystic River Falls. These transformations seem to be huge successes for those parks, so I'm sure Busch would want to hop on that trend, especially in 2026, many years after other parks in America have followed the same suit. And remember, it gets pretty hot in Florida, so when Busch had to close the tidal wave back in 2016, that was a big loss. I think a new River Rapids would greatly make up for that. 2027 would most likely be phase 2 of the Congo area refurbishment. There have been rumors of the park getting another wooden coaster ever since the original Gwazi closed in 2015, so I think a ride like Invader at Busch Gardens Williamsburg would fit right into this park's lineup, especially with the removal of Scorpion a few years before. This coaster would most likely be a part of the Congo area, taking up a lot of the space from Jangala. It would serve as another family coaster for the park, attracting kids not tall enough for Cheetah Hunt, but a little too tall for Air Grover. As for a manufacturer, it could honestly be either GCI or Gravity Group at this point. Personally, I'd like to see a small-scale GCI. And as for a theme, maybe a gorilla rushing through the jungles of the Congo. I also do unfortunately see a lot of closures happening this year to help prepare the park for their next big addition. Sand Serpent, Phoenix, and the Pantopia Theater would all be demolished to clear a huge plot of land for a new attraction coming a couple years later. 2028 would be another off year for the park as they just got a major wooden roller coaster. Plus, construction would be in full swing in Pantopia working on the new attraction. If Busch really wants to add something substantial this year, the most I see is a couple new shows or more animal exhibits to help diversify the park's lineup of family activities. And here's my wild card. In 2029, I think Busch Gardens Tampa should get an indoor dark ride. Now, I know what you're thinking. What? I know, it's crazy, but I have my reasons. 2029 is a long time from now, meaning Disney and Universal, Busch Gardens' main competitors, will have upgraded their lineup of attractions significantly. As of now, that's 9 years into the future. Those two companies have the time and resources to build whatever the heck they want, and whatever they do build will be outstanding, as technology 9 years into the future will have greatly improved. Now, how does this tie into Busch Gardens? Well, I think at a certain point throughout the decade, SeaWorld Entertainment is going to realize that they need to step up their game in terms of theming and immersive storytelling. Hence why I think Busch will invest in a dark ride. The park currently has no indoor attractions, and longtime fans have been begging SeaWorld for a dark ride for ages. Also, we do know that Busch is willing to invest in indoor attractions, as they actually had an old simulator ride called Akbar's Adventure Tours that closed in 2007. Now you're probably wondering where a massive show building to house an entire dark ride would even fit inside the park. Well, how about they use the space from the Pantopia Theater, Sand Serpent, and the Phoenix? This dark ride could either be a classic Omnimover style attraction, or something a little more interactive, maybe like Justice League at the Six Flags parks. This ride could also be themed to an original IP, also known as intellectual property. SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment actually have a surprising amount of original IP, so I can see this being an original attraction, and not just another ripoff from something like Sesame Street. Busch loves to theme their rides to mythical creatures, so I would not be surprised if they went down that path again. Well, there we have it guys, that is my 10-year plan for Busch Gardens Tampa. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below and I'll try my best to respond to you. And just to reiterate, most of these rides and attractions might not happen, because remember, this video is based completely off of speculation and rumors and none of it is confirmed by the park. It's just my personal take on what I believe will open and close at Busch Gardens Tampa in the next 10 years. But with that said, what do you guys think? I'm really curious to know your 10-year plan, or even 5-year plan for Busch Gardens Tampa. And if you guys have any suggestions for other parks I should cover in this series, leave a comment down below. Any and all feedback is appreciated. Oh, and be sure to hit that subscribe button with those post notifications turned on so you can be one of the first people to watch a new video the minute it drops. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys out on the horizon. The theme park horizons.